So we're here with the one and only, the head of Hidden Home Records, the mind behind Ginger Kicker, the Rob Lanterman. How we doing, Rob?
Pretty good. Kind of weird being introed into something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, you've been doing it enough for the rest of us. It's time to finally get you in.
Sure. I actually cut the intros out of both Dennis and Sef's. So
That's okay.
I think I introduced Dennis. I don't know. I cut Sef's out.
Nice. I like that. I respect that.
So I guess people who have watched, the few of you who have watched the other ones, I'm on the split. I can't interview myself. So we're having Russ, who's also on the split, interview me.
That's right.
And then I'm going to interview Russ. Well, technically I already did, but
yeah,
this is going to come out first. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
So, I would say you and Seth kind of share this common theme, and Dennis is heading that way now, but common theme of having a prominent acoustic history, if you will. And, sure, you may not have released and recorded and released all of your stuff with as much as I wish you did.
1 second, and we'll keep this in, but my doorbell is ringing.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, you should talk about something. I don't know.
So, I'm interviewing Tom Lord Alge at this moment. Although he seems reluctant to. Rob's back. Don't worry. Tom Lord Alge can take a back seat. Literally.
Yeah, what's up?
So you and Seth kind of have this, I guess I should just say a fairly extensive history with acoustic guitar. For Seth, it sounded like his kind of came because he got tired of being in bands and just wanted to be able to put his music out and not have to rely on anyone else to get there.
Yeah.
Did yours start? I guess did your acoustic stuff start prior to your band work, or is yours kind of similar?
It was post. It was I was in a band. The band broke up. I wanted to keep playing shows, and I think I pushed back on it a little bit because I wasn't really a fan of solo projects, and then decided, I don't know, finally had done the band thing enough that I had the confidence to do it. And I wasn't in a band, so it was like, well, I want to keep doing things. I might as well just write songs in this kind of style and go for it,
Well, I've always loved, the best way to put it is you're really good at enunciating with an acoustic guitar, at making the guitar enunciate, I should say.
Okay.
And I remember a long time ago at, what's it called? District Coffee House? Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
In Boise.
Mm-hmm.
You and I were backstage, or back room.
Okay.
And we were playing acoustic, and you had said something to me that kind of rung out that's kind of always inspired the way that I try to play acoustic. And that was, make it sound the way it sounds as if it were electric. And
cool.
So you were playing, I don't even remember if it was Wilhelm Scream or if it was, you were playing something that one would say doesn't belong on an acoustic guitar, but you were playing it with a ferocity and with a pick attack, and that really enunciated it. And ever since then, I've really paid attention to the way you play acoustic guitar, and I've found that similar kind of vibe to your electric, in that you, I personally, whenever I play acoustic guitar, I have a tendency to want to play it softer, and therefore it kind of sounds a little washy. But as of late, I've been really pushing myself to enunciate on acoustic the way that you do. Is there some was that a decision that you made, or did that just come natural?
Yeah, it was. It's really weird talking about myself, by the way. It's really weird to just sit there while someone compliments you or like talks about you, and then have to like.
I have a
respond to it.
feeling that when you do that for me, I'm going to feel the same way about it. That's for the listeners.
Because
We
I
already did the
technically already
interview,
did.
and I did feel the same way about it.
Yeah, I'd been in a band, a couple bands maybe. I'd been in a band. I'd filled in for other bands, and sometimes people would open acoustic, and it was always really boring. There, and even if it was like someone who was kind of like into the same music that we were into, it was either really slow and unentertaining, or they were like trying to play it without catering to the acoustic. Meaning like they might cover like a pop punk song, but they would still be playing power chords. But it's like just them up there, right? And so power chords.
Yeah, find a way to get it to resonate.
Right, power chords on acoustic guitar are not big sounding.
Yeah, I often hate them, but
Yeah, me too.
which is kind of funny because I used power chords for one of the songs, but
Yeah, and
it's
it
an
works.
homage more than anything.
Yeah, for sure, and it works. I think it was, and at the time, like Frank Turner had just gotten kind of popular. I think he had just signed to Epitaph a couple years before, so I was hearing about him. I knew that other people in bands did that. I knew that Tony Sly and Joey Cape had projects. Other bands I listened to had acoustic songs on their records and stuff. But as far as doing like a solo thing, I think my goal was to be like, I kind of put this jokingly in the premiere for the Dido cover on Punk Rock Theory, but the point was that I was gonna hold my own with the bands I was playing with, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Which I think I did a pretty good job at from the get-go. And it was really just kind of from kind of learning how to sing, like maybe like a year or two beforehand, learning how to like project my voice, because before that I had only sang quietly, and then it was
Right.
just playing full chords, strumming them all
Yeah.
the way out, making sure that it sounds big when I play it. I'm a pretty percussive strummer,
Yeah.
so that was I always like made a point that I was going to be as energetic and intense as the bands I was playing with.
Yeah, I mean, I remember there was like a perfect example of it was you hosted a show for your label or through your label called Hidden Home for the Holidays, where you brought in, bands from your label that you liked and had them play. And if I remember, you opened.
Yeah.
I think it was, or maybe you were second. I don't remember if it was, but anyway, I remember you just came out to the floor instead of the stage. You just put the acoustic guitar on the floor, went over and grabbed something. This kind of casual kind of, do we swear in this?
Yeah, go for it.
This kind of casual kind of fuck it mentality that accompanies punk rock bands. And I right away, it was like a mood was set that
Yeah.
that was different from what you'd expect from an acoustic. And then I remember thinking, especially with that, you strum so loudly that I wasn't sure if you'd be able to, because you didn't have the mic, you just sang. I wasn't sure if you'd be able to compete with it. And seeing you, actually project and sing loud enough, that was one of those moments where, like, I guess, I don't know if it's just that it never clicked or that I wasn't paying enough attention, but that it was like, oh yeah, he doesn't do the soft sing to the mic thing. He'd much rather be like almost like the street corner performer who's barking at you and playing really loud than the guy on stage who's got the system all for him and he's fine trying to being pretty about it, I guess. Anyway, yeah. I just thought that was a great example of the energy that you carry when you play live.
Yeah, I had someone leave a show one time because I was too loud.
Yeah, there you go.
And I think that was kind of when I was like, okay, I've done it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't remember why I started playing on the floor, but I still prefer to do it. If I can avoid it, I always don't use the mic. I don't plug in. For one, my guitar jack is just a little bit messed up. I don't know if it's messed up. It's just kind of loose, and it just always has been. The electronics in it are like basically duct taped. And it's a really good guitar. It's a really good guitar, honestly. It's a really nice Blue Ridge guitar, and it's got some crazy like nice like it's real wood or something. I don't know anything about guitars, but it's supposed to be like a pretty nice guitar. And but I've had it for so long that it just kind of I don't know, like I never really liked doing the electronics on it. And then I don't know if it was like, I think there were two things. One, there was an acoustic show at the Crux years ago. And I want to say this is like 2015, 2014, maybe. I think if I remember right, it was like Adam Wright, my friend Andrew Douglas, Janelle Christine, and Matt Coate. And if I remember right, there was a point where Janelle just like sat on the edge of the stage and played because she was tired of singing the mic. I thought that was kind of cool. And then the other thing was probably Step Brothers playing on the floor all the time.
Oh yeah.
So there was at some point I just decided like if I was, and also it's so hard to engage people when you're on a stage. So it
Yeah.
and I wasn't gonna be like Matt Pless or anything, who's great, but like I wasn't gonna like run around and like jump on tables and jump in people's faces. That's not my style. But like I was gonna play on the floor like as I don't know, it's in small show setting, intimate show setting, and like shows can be awkward. I'd rather just kind of make it more present, make it more organic.
One, and I think there's something that kind of speaks to your personality, and then there's another part of your performance that's like a polar opposite. Like I think the getting on the floor and being with the people speaks to your personality, because you are somebody who would much rather have an intimate relationship with friends. Platon, speaking, intimate can seem like a strange word, but in this case, an intimate relationship with your friends, and then be a life of the party type. And so getting on the floor and being right in their face definitely, caters to that. But then the polar opposite is you are a kind of a quiet, reserved person. I mean, around your friends, you're fun and all that. But I wouldn't consider you a loud person. Like myself, I'm a loud person.
Yeah.
But your acoustic performances are very much fully forward with it. And I see that with your, we play in Shrug Dealer together, so I see it in practice and I see it elsewhere too. But I see this like kind of explosiveness that you carry in your playing that I wouldn't have expected, having known who you are, which is really fun.
There is there was a moment, I guess it was probably around 2 years ago now, because COVID took a year away from us. But around a year from when we were allowed to do things, and I saw Less Than Jake on a boat in New York City on the Rocks Off cruise. And I remember having like this kind of like realization that at least my relationship to that band and to, I guess like punk rock in general was that, like, for me personally, it's a place where people who aren't comfortable performing can feel comfortable performing. And I think music is just that to me. I don't know why. I could probably figure out why if I really wanted to, like, psychoanalyze myself, but I just, for me, I think it's very important for expressing myself to, like, and at least with my acoustic stuff, like that stuff is just me. Like, like I'm only representing myself at that point. So it's
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would just, I haven't thought about this too much, but I think that it's probably just all the things that like I want to say and all the things that I want to be, but I don't feel like comfortable or confident enough to do anywhere else. But then you get a guitar and I can do it. So, yeah.
Okay. I hear that. Another thing that I've always wanted to ask you, actually, and it's nice that I get an opportunity to do this, is
Shit.
you're a bit of an encyclopedia for the strains of punk rock that you're really into, and those, I'd say, those subcultures and those meme cultures, like that kind of stuff. Is there do you have like favorite publications that you follow, like where you get all your info, or is it just shotgun sporadic?
Wikipedia. Well, growing up, like, yeah, it was it's that imposter syndrome, and I think that like I think growing up and getting into punk rock and getting into like independent music, but coming from where I was, which was the exact opposite of that world, growing up in the exact opposite of that world, I think that was kind of how I don't know, I there wasn't like anything super specific until I got to college. So like in high school, it was just watching like videos and documentaries and interviews with bands. It was being like, because I'm kind of an obsessionist, which is I think obvious to most people, but like I obsess over when I get into something, I really, really obsess over it. And so it was like I remember one of the first Newfound Glory records I had. Records as a CD, but they had like this really huge thank you list, because this is like right when they're getting big, so they're like right coming out of like that Florida hardcore kind of thing. And I went onto MySpace in like the 9th grade and I searched for every single band on that list and like learned it. And so I would start like looking up thank you lists for bands, and like there are like these bands on that list that were like 200 North or Edna's Goldfish. And then you had a few that I knew, like Face to Face or something like that. But like, there's this really sick band called The Agency that was like a ska metalcore band, kind of not like folly, but more like kind of more raw. Anyway, I don't know. It was really interesting. So yeah, there was like learning about stuff through bands I liked. Like, you find Blink-182 and then you find out they're influenced by the Descendants. So you go check out the Descendants, or you find out MXPX isn't who they are because they're in the related artists section on whatever you're using on the internet. And then, that takes you over to, I don't know, that takes you over to Rancid or whatever. So that's kind of how it went for me. But then in college, I got into Dying Scene. I found Dying Scene and I really loved that website. And it was my favorite website for a while. I later wrote for it, which was really cool.
And then, if you want to talk about it, it's fine.
I don't think we can talk about it because I think Dennis is friends with him.
Anyone who knows Rob, you should ask him. It's a great story.
For people listening, I wrote a review about a band that got booted off the website because
have you written for them since?
It made fun of their. I didn't make fun. Well, it wasn't very nice. It was pretty sarcastic. I think it's like right when I started writing, and I was reading a lot of Dan Ozzie, and
it was snarky and critical. But
right.
I think that's what bands need.
But it sucked. I mean, it was really funny. It really like made me way like more shy about being critical. Now I don't really care, but
so that like regressed your
for a
confidence
while.
with it.
Yeah, totally.
That's too bad. Like any band I've ever been in would have been so stoked to have had someone with your snarky critical mind review our work. Like even if you shat all over it, it would still be like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I'd shat all over bands like before that. I remember, I have a friend who went on tour with Transit, and I really liked the band Transit. And my first review for Dying Scene was a Transit record that I said, this isn't a very good Transit record. And they, I don't know if he probably wasn't talking about my review, but people didn't like it very much. When my friend was on tour with him, the guy was complaining, or I don't know if complaining is the right word, but he's like, kids don't get that people change their music and blah, blah, blah. And like, I agree with him. And that wasn't the nature of my critique. It was just, I felt like they hadn't tried. But that's a different story. That's my opinion. I'm being very diplomatic right now, more so than maybe I would be if there wasn't a camera and a microphone.
Down, Rob. Tell the people what you really, how you really feel.
I think the thing with this isn't really even relevant to it kind of is because they were a '90s skate punk band, but the thing that was really funny to me is this idea of like, in punk rock, there's not supposed to be like a hierarchy. And I wrote a review of a band that was very well renowned. I also did a review of the Fat Mike musical that was never posted.
Oh, Home Street Home?
And I think it's for the same reason, was because I gave it a bad review. And so
were you like snarky and sarcastic with that one too?
I don't know if I was snarky and sarcastic. I think I was just like, but what it kind of comes down to is that there are just some bands that are like, no, it's fine. There are just some bands that are like highly revered in punk rock, and they have their place as like, they think they deserve their 4 or 5 stars every time, and like
they're above reproach.
Mm-hmm. And in the interview, I said that this particular band, I've always been on and off with him. I've kind of been on the fence. That was somehow taken as he's never heard this band. And so they got a super fan of the band to review the record afterward, and he gave it the same rating I did.
Oh, but he just used different language?
Yeah, and but that idea of hierarchy within like a counterculture, subculture like this or whatever, like especially this one, is just so antithetical to what it's about.
The whole point of it, yeah.
And my friend Aaron really kind of like reintroduced the idea to me, but it's something that meant like recently when we were talking about this, but it's something that meant a lot to me in my early 20s, was the idea of not having a hierarchy. Everyone is on the same level. That was very important to me. So at the time it was really dumb. The guy who assigned me the review thought it was really dumb because it wasn't his choice to remove it. Like he told me in an email. Anyway,
yeah, it's just
all that to say,
the band had some managers and PR agencies that were barking at that Dying Scene, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That's what I was told, is that the PR guy freaked out on someone at the website.
Hilarious.
I'm trying to not throw anyone under the bus because I'm grateful to Dying Scene. But back to what we were talking about though, like Dying Scene, I got really into Dying Scene in college, and so that was how I started finding a bunch of bands. Like I found this band called Kid Icarus on that website. Yeah. There was a really, really cool, I don't remember what they were called, but they were kind of like right on the cusp, like right before bands like the Wonder Years started blowing up, where they were like combining everything from the last like 20 years. And like, they're like a pop punk band, but they were really fast. They had a lot of changes, a lot of like emo parts, and like, I think, was it Hide the Details? I think that's what they were called. Yeah. And so stuff like that was really cool to me. There was a site that I'm buddies with this site now. They're called The Punk Site, and they had like a free download section. And that's how I got into, I was using that a lot at that time too. And that's how I got into bands like Hold Tight, and, which is a band no one's heard of, but you should go check out. If you like Lifetime, go listen to Hold Tight. So yeah, anyway. So yeah, it's all basically just been documentaries and like those websites. And then ever since I started like more actively booking tours and like booking bands, like finding out about bands from friends, kind of a thing. that like, oh, this is my friend's band, you should check them out, kind of. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So yeah,
So
I
you
guess
started
it's
with
just
the
all
Wikipedia chase, huh?
yes, it started
That's
with the
cool.
Wikipedia. It technically started with like Real Player and iTunes and like video games and like hearing a song on a video game and then like looking up that band and then finding out who they were friends with or who were they touring with and like just being very like intrigued by it all as like a really young kid.
See, that's cool. I never like peeled the layers of the onion back. I think that's cool. Like I would like play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and hear like that soundtrack's amazing. And I hear a rad band and I go find their CD and I go buy it. But that would be the end of it. I wouldn't like go find who are they playing with? What are they doing? You know, and try to find the network the way you did, which is really cool. I wish more people would do that.
Yeah, I think the biggest downfall to it is that I'm sure we'll get into this at some point, but punk rock like the evangelical culture I was like raised in has this very has this eye on like who is authentic and who isn't.
Right.
And it's very like it's very like weed out the fake, and so that I think that gives you a lot of guilt as a kid until you get older and realize that everyone, except for you, but like most people I know had like a gateway band, that was like that was like for me it was Blink-182 and Good Charlotte, and for other people it was like The Offspring and Green Day and stuff like that. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, I definitely had gateway bands, but they were already. I found bands that were already deep in the scene.
Yeah.
Because my brother listened to stuff. Like, so funny that record. My older brother used to listen to Lagwagon. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
That's literally how I found Lagwagon.
Right. Oh, what was really good actually for me for finding new bands as well was the dudes in Blink-182 had a clothing company called Atticus.
See, I never knew who owned that. Yeah, I remember you telling me that. I was like, oh, no shit.
And they had these comps, and I bought one, and it starts off with, it literally goes Rocket from the Crypt, Hot Water Music, Thrice, Finch, Dropkick Murphys. I think there's like a Blink B-side, then it goes to like Slick Shoes, Dillinger 4, and then eventually like H2O, Rise Against, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, like Alkaline Trio, Hot Rod Circuit. And that so like on this comp,
other labels who worked with them?
I don't know. I think that they were just people Atticus sponsored, but I feel like the Blink guys had like a hand in choosing who was on it, kind of a thing. And so that CD, I had the second one, and that was like critical to me finding a bunch of new bands that like later became my favorite bands.
Yeah,
like Dillinger 4, right? So so yeah, it's all because of mall punk, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. I did have alternative press, and that's how I found bands like Lemuria and stuff like that. But like overall, it was internet. So
yeah,
internet in those few instances outside of it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know that having to describe your own songs is weird. But I kind of want to get into these songs on your end of the split, which anyone who's already watched these videos knows. For those of you who don't, the split involves myself, Sef Idle or Seth Steffen, who's a killer, kind of a forefather of the current Boise punk scene, if you will. He's one of the guys he's been in it for a long time. He's helped bands get their records out. He's somebody who's just been a staple there, and very much carried a lot of gravity with thumper punk records as well. And he's kind of a West Coast unsung hero of sorts. And you have Dennis, who of course being Dennis Jagard being the lead of 10 Foot Pole. I mean, hell, he's the big name on the record, which, I never thought that I'd share a record with someone from 10 Foot Pole, which is pretty, and that's, it's gotta be a cool feeling. But yeah, I mean, it's fun to get into these tracks and hear the stories behind them. So I know that, you're knowing you the way that I do, you are somebody who talks about your relationship with other people a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's not just romantic relationships, but just, you kind of communicate your emotions and your deep thought through your music, which, I mean, heck, a lot of people do that. But for Anywhere But Here, that one sounds like it's a very specific memory. It's not just like you're trying to tell somebody something, but it sounds to me like you wrote this song about one thing that happened.
Yeah, I did. And first of all, okay, so this is my first song on the split. It starts the B-side. I didn't sequence it that way. That's all Sef, so blame him. But I wrote this song years after the event had happened because I had always kind of wanted to write a song about it. And I wrote a bunch. It was when you and me were living together. Like you said, you're much louder than I am. I'm much more timid than you are. So I think at the time I was always trying to like get up to your level kind of a thing. And we were about to put out, I think we were going to put out like the Shrug Dealer EP. Maybe it was after that. I don't know. But I want to say it was after I had like written Who's Molly. And I wanted to get, which is on the Shrug Dealer song that I sing. And I realized I'm not very good at singing in the key of E. So I literally, in like the month that you were gone, I wrote like an entire EP in the key of E and then never did anything with it, which is kind of my thing. But this is the first song.
You have a tendency to do that. For the listeners, Rob has a tendency to do that. He writes a lot of really good stuff and then just never puts it out, which is it's a crying shame. You should really put more shit out.
Yeah, I'm busy putting other people's shit out. But I did. So this is the first song I wrote for that. But yeah, it's about. I mean, I don't need to get into I don't need to get super into detail. But yeah, it's basically about someone played a song about me while I was in the room.
Okay.
And I knew it was about me. And it was like very tense, very awkward.
So you hadn't heard.
It was someone I had dated that played a love song about me that she wrote while we were dating. And so.
Okay. So you were aware of the song.
When
the song started, you were like, oh no, this is happening right now.
Yeah. And it was, and it,
So
and,
you'd rather be.
And she like, and the person, yeah. And it's one of the first like real like moments of like, I want to be out of here. Like I've ever really, really had where like, I was like feeling physically sick and like, it was just a really awkward situation. So, I mean, things are cool now, and I'm sure that I get it. Like there's no bad blood or anything. It was just really, really awkward. And I've always been like, that would make a good thing to write a song about, and it was like such a weird moment, like a weirdly uncomfortable moment. And, when I was like writing all these songs in E, like that's the kind of stuff that I was like, oh, I haven't written a song about that yet. I could write a song about that. So, yeah.
Well, it's killer, man. I mean, that one gets actually that one and the next one gets stuck in my head all the time. You've got a penchant for writing hooks, and
thanks.
And it's as someone who self a hook writer as well.
Fancies himself a hook writer.
Yeah, that's right. It's refreshing to hear a hook that I would never have thought of, because hooks are simple; they always are. And so whenever I find one that doesn't sound like something that would have come out of my head, I tend to it tends to glue itself in there, and I'm sure it very much influences future hooks that I write. But both of your originals on this record do that. They stick in my head all the time. And I know I
you mixed
them, so I had to listen to it
a lot,
8 or 9,000 times, but that should be ammo for it to not stick. That should be one of those things where I get tired of it and I never want to hear it again. But no, I like it sticks and I don't mind. It's just good. It's a really good hook.
That's great to hear, I think.
Yeah, no, it's a killer song. So this is the part where you start spilling names for all the listeners, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm
noticing a pattern.
I don't want to I think that like something I've kind of realized since I've written this song is maybe how long people can hold on to those situations when they're causing them, when they're the person on stage making me uncomfortable or whatever. And so, not that I shouldn't write about them or anything, but I try to.
I was making a joke about. Let's start naming.
You remember what
here.
Joke you were making?
Yeah. I was talking about let's start naming names here because I've asked you a couple of questions now that have forced you to have to withhold who exactly we're referring to. And I'm having fun.
Yeah,
with
but
that.
then your dog came in and saved the day by pissing all over your floor. So
you know what? He might have done that for you, my friend.
Yeah, I think he knew.
So speaking of names, the next track, it's called Peaches by the Presidents of the United States of America. First off, that's a very was that a Millennium song? Or would that even be a 90s song? I don't even know.
I don't
even know. I feel like that song's old.
It's kind of old. It's not like they were around like a long time before that, weren't they?
I don't know.
I feel like they're like.
But it's one of those that like.
It's the kind of thing I learned on Wikipedia when I was growing up. Was stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. So that track came out in 1995.
Oh, sick! I didn't know that. I thought it was newer than that.
26 years later, it gets a callback on an acoustic record.
Yeah,
and it's even a song that I would not consider a jokey song at all.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because
you're not the type of person who takes names lightly.
I don't know about that.
Like I would consider you somebody who doesn't like naming things because and I could be wrong, but I feel like you feel a certain pressure to get the name right, and so you're like, this felt like a screw it. I'm going to purposefully get the name so wrong that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that I don't like naming things, but also, so knowing you and playing music with you all these years has really helped instill a little more of like that fuck it mentality that we were talking about but I think the difference between you and me is like, you're willing to do that in your music. And for me, it's hard to do that in my music. So my music is all very self-serious, unless I'm writing like a really short kind of descendancy kind of song. And so with names, one, I don't like naming anything. I use my own name because, I didn't want to come up with a band name for just me. That's kind of why. But ultimately, naming stuff sucks. And, like a lot of my favorite bands have ridiculous song names, or like Dillinger 4. I've already talked about them, but like, none of their songs make sense. So for me, it was like, I could have named it after the lyrics in the song, but I think it was you or Seth who asked me like what. I think it was you. You were like, "What is the song called?" And I just said the first thing that came to my mind. That was "Peaches" by the Presidents of the United States of America.
Oh, that's the first thing that came to your mind.
And then, probably besides something like incredibly like immature and phallic, and so, or like poop related. So I just said "Peaches" by the Presidents of the United States of America. I'm pretty proud of that because later Seth texted me. He's like, "Do you really want this song to be called Peaches by the President of the United States of America?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then we started doing the press for the split, and I was talking with people of punk rock for the first time because Seth put that all together. I had never talked to people of punk rock records before, and we were messaging, and they were like, "We were bummed that you didn't actually cover the song." But that's the other thing that I felt. That's the other thing that I felt really good about was the fact that we all do actually have covers on this, but instead of like, I don't know. I just think it's funny to name a song after another song.
You know,
and then you format it just slightly different so you know it's not actually a cover because all the way the covers are written on the back of the split and in like the track listing, they're formatted different than that. That is just word for word Peaches by the President of the United States of America.
You know what's funny is after you named it that, it took a lot of self-convincing to not cover Peaches for my cover.
That would have been funny.
I really wanted to.
Yeah.
Like screw with the whole record by actually covering that.
Yeah, and
so when everyone sees the back, they're like, "Wait, did two people cover that song?"
And see, that's the kind of fuck it like mentality that you have, where like it's a very different fucking mentality than I have.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny. Yeah, cool. I'm glad you asked about that.
Yeah, like I feel like your fuck it muscle is tied to total randomness.
Yeah, probably.
Don't make any connections at all. Whereas mine's tied to either be misleading or find a way to troll the hell out of it.
Yeah, totally. And I do like misleading people. I like lying to people as much as the next guy, but like for fun. Nothing harmful. But like I'm not trying to be like that's so random guy or whatever. I just like really, I don't know.
You're not too many cooksing it?
Yeah, but like at the same time, like we've played in bands together and I'm always the one willing to settle on a name because I don't really, to me it's like what's in a name. Like, I think I've always respected bands that, all the bands that I'm thinking of, like bands like Fireworks or bands like All, like their names are actually very important to the songs and they make sense or whatever and they're important to their image. But I think that like for me, the music should speak for itself instead of the way it's presented on some level. Now that's a really bad thing to say as someone who runs a label, but at least for me, like when I do my music, my own music, I love packaging other people's music. I love helping them get that into something that represents them well. But like for me that, I enjoy letting the music be like the serious part of that, and
right.
Another great band, Step Brothers, all their song titles were jokes between them.
That's true.
I remember Charlie Pull, and you probably do too, because you recorded something that didn't come out by them at one point. But I'm sure that I'm sure Charlie pulled his phone out and was like, "Well, here's our list of potential song titles," and he had like a thing in his notes app, and even stuff like bands like Fall Out Boy had like these ridiculously long song titles that maybe made sense, but as a kid I didn't know they made sense. So like it was kind of what's in a name. That's kind of all I'm getting at. Yeah.
I knew I felt out of touch when I saw the song title of Fight Me IRL.
yeah.
For a Step Brothers song, and I had no idea what IRL was.
Yeah.
I had to go like Google it.
I feel like I've somehow like been drafted into this community of teachers in New York City, which means I know I know quite a bit of teachers in New York City, and like they have taught me how to talk more like a Gen Z person, like how to like text like a Gen Z person, because that's like all their students do, and they've been doing, and and I did not have that before. I just like, but I learned a lot from Step Brothers as well about how to now I say BC instead of because like all the time. Sometimes I don't even spell out with. I just write W and just assume people are gonna know. And that might just be a me thing, but
Oh, no, I've seen that one. I've seen that one around.
yeah, it's just like lazy and easy. I don't know. Anyway, so but yeah, what's in a name? That's all that matters. What's in a name? And and so this song, and plus it's like the most like down tempo, serious song that I have on the split. And so, why add to that?
All right.
Why continue the downer mood?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying,
froze.
especially because of the tone of the A side and the B side. Oh,
you're back. You're back.
I can hear what you're saying. I know what you mean, because the tone of the A side is very different from the tone of the B side of the record.
Yeah, maybe. Huh.
Like the A side has like a bit of a. I mean, Seth does have a that's. I guess it's not necessarily true. The tone of the A side felt more nostalgic, and sure, there's a bit of a like
Dennis
like what happened vibe to it to one of Seth's songs.
Oh yeah.
That's not so much positive.
Yeah.
Not that it's entirely negative, but it's kind of a sad song.
No, yeah.
But then you're dealing with different versions of angst and downerdom, and I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think. Yeah, and I also think that you and I are both pretty contrarian in our own ways.
Yeah.
So I think that being so close and living together for 2 years before the split came out probably did not help with with me naming my songs. Is kind of all.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
But I don't know. What's in a name? That's all I'm trying to say.
So do we want to go over that song at all, or
yeah, let's go.
Or you want to let?
Yeah.
Cool.
I was listening to it today, and like, I think I know what you're gonna. I think I know some of what you're gonna ask me, but like the things that I was learning listening back to the song today are not things I would have told you had we done this a week ago.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean.
So it sounds like a song that. It almost sounds like you have a kind of a narrative in your head that's kind of a reminder. To kind of maybe set ego aside. That's the vibe that I get when I listen to it.
Okay.
But I'm very interested to hear, the motivation for this song and what brought you to it toward the end of it, or I mean by the time it was over.
Well, I remember recording this, and this song is to me very clearly about my Christian faith.
Okay, so I didn't want to assume that.
Well,
because I was like, okay, there's definitely a there are lines that very much make it sound that way. But I thought in my head, I'm like, I wonder if he's drawing a parallel.
Yeah, I do that. Cool. I do that with.
So I was reading too much into it then.
I mean, I do that with Christianity and books I read and like things I know that I can like I do that. So that makes sense for you to wonder about. But yeah, I don't know if you have. I don't know what you want to ask me, but essentially.
Well, I mean, is it a
You can be blunt. I don't care. Like,
is it a reaffirming of who you are, or is it a questioning of who you are?
Okay, so here's the thing. I wrote this probably in like 2016 or 2017.
Okay.
And before today, had you asked me what specifically it was about, I think I would have told you I don't know.
So something happened today?
No, it's not that something happened today. It's just that like I was listening, preparing it. I mean, maybe I saw something on Twitter that made me think about it or whatever. But so I think that it sounds because it's a doubting song is what the song is. It's about doubting your beliefs and then like not being afraid to be wrong. That's the
Okay.
gist of what I think is in the lyrics. Um, Again, I'm trying to remember things I said or like things I went through, but I think that what that song is honestly really about is doubting the evangelical Christian framework I was raised with, but still believing in Christianity, I guess, or like, well, I guess what you could call like mere Christianity,
Oh, okay.
which would be like,
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus, Son of God, came to Earth, rose from the dead, that kind of stuff, the basics, you know. But like, I think that it's about realizing that like coming to new conclusions about that stuff could alienate the faith communities I was raised in.
Okay.
I don't remember what the line is in my own song, but there's a line that I think is basically talking about like family and just basically saying I don't I don't
Is it the honesty can be such a lonely road
yeah I think
part?
yeah
Yeah.
and those who taught me everything that I know, I think is a line before that. Yeah, it's like a big one for me has been I guess doubting what you would call like, well, I mean, without getting super technical and like termy,
Right.
like doubting the portrayal of the Bible that I was given growing up, and like
Yeah.
what it means for something to be scripture, or what it means, how, not just how that's interpreted, but like how much weight do I give it? I was raised to believe that some things are untouchable, and I don't think they are anymore. And so I think that's a lot of what that song was probably about. That's what it seems to be to me.
Yeah. So I was curious because I just I did not know that you were going to. Which I mean, every time I'm surprised by something, I'm often pleased. I did not know that you were going to broach that topic at this point in your life. And so I was surprised to hear it, and I'm always pleased by like a radical honesty, like a transparency within somebody.
Well,
And but when I heard it, I was in my head. I'm like, no, this can't be what I think it is. There's got to be a parallel that he's drawing, that he's using this to then tell a different story. So I was looking for that, and I'm like, well, no, I'm not hearing it. I'm like, I gotta ask Rob about this song.
no, I mean, again, I wrote it back then, and I think that I talked about how, and I've always thought it was a good song, but it was never finished. And like, this is rehashing an old song at the same, because I was writing songs for the split, and then I heard Dennis's songs, and I heard Seth's songs, and I was like, oh, I need to step my game up. And so I took Anywhere But Here, and then this old song, I was like, that was like always a pretty good song. I never finished it. I was wanted to. It comes up like in my head from time to time when I'm having similar experiences or whatever. But I also I also finished it on the way to your house, basically. Like I remember like recently when we recorded it being like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do that at the end, like, because it wasn't done.
I
So
remember you telling me that. Yeah.
and so there's just like not. It is personal to me, and it is relatable to me, and it is like it is relatable to things I'm going through right now, but it's also not. Um, it's not. Yeah, I try to not mix my faith with the label in a sense, because and you can't take who you are out of what you do. you can't take your principles and your beliefs and your fundamentals out of what you do. But like, I don't like involving, like there's this whole thing about like what is Christian music, and like most of the I'd say 99% of the bands I work with have no religious affiliation or are atheists or are very anti-religious, and I don't want to put that on. I don't want to give them any kind of like I don't false labeling or something they wouldn't appreciate. So.
You don't want to put them in the position to where they could be conflated.
Yeah, and I'm just such not a fan of that scene as well. Not or like at least like to me what I've learned about Christian music, like I'm not a fan of it. I have a lot of problems with it. And so it's at least on like a structural corporate kind of level. And then I mean even in scenes too, like it's just kind of dumb to me at this point in my life. Like it's I don't know, just like giving yourself that kind of a anyway. I don't need to talk about this right now, but yeah, basically that's that's what that song is. That song is about basically changing your opinion and being afraid of the consequences.
Yeah.
So like the social consequences and the that kind of stuff.
Definitely, yeah. So we all chose covers that were not punk rock songs.
Yes.
Yours was my favorite of all of our covers.
Oh, thank you.
I thought you crushed it. My only note was I wish you did the Eminem version, but whatever. Beggars can't be choosers.
Cool.
No, but I mean, even when you first brought it up, I was like, oh, that's a good one. That's a good choice. And I was almost like, damn it. Like, I wish I had a cool, like, radio pop cover that I could find. And I tried a few, and I just, we go over that in the other in the next episode.
The next episode, yeah.
But yeah, of all the covers, yours is the one that I like the most. I thought it was great.
Thank you.
What pulled you into that one?
I don't remember why or how I got back into Dido, but I did.
So there was a time prior where you were into Dido as well.
But not like. Well, like I grew up hearing this song, and it might have been the Eminem version on like the radio. Like a fairly young kid, like maybe probably like 9 or 10. And then somewhere along the line, like it came back into my life. I don't remember where, but then being like, who does that? Oh, it's Dido. Like, who's Dido, kind of a thing. And then buying the CD, and then being like, wow, I guess I do kind of only want to listen to the like that and White Flag. But regardless, like always thought it was a super killer song. And so that's why I chose it, I guess.
I don't think I'm the only one who wants to hear you rap, though. So at some point, you're going to have to figure out a way to an acoustic rap song for us.
Yeah, that is the joke.
For all of your fans.
Yeah, I think that I don't think that's good. I don't think anyone should typically rap with an acoustic guitar personally, but it's just me.
All the more reason for you to do it. You're so principled in the way that you play and the music you listen to that if you came out with a rap cover, you would floor everyone you've ever met.
Not only was this another split by 4 white men with acoustic guitars, but there's white rapping on it too.
But Rob covers break stuff by
Oh man.
Oh, that'd be great.
Some people would be really excited about that.
I'm telling you.
I would not. Yeah. Anyway, that's why I chose it. I like it.
So, do you have any plans to actually release your own EPs or CDs at any point?
Yeah. I mean, it's gotten really busy. This year with the label, we're doing this. We're doing Shrug Dealer stuff. This is my year of pushing everything out that I've been working on, I think. So I do have an EP that's been done for a while that just about, and I need you to put, you're doing people, Russ is a great mixer, sound engineer, recording genius, and he is going to add some backing vocals and mix, and I'll probably pay you to master it too, the CP, and that'll probably come out at the end of the year.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, so it'll be the split, it'll be the Shrug Dealer stuff. I've had a couple covers. I did a Gob cover recently for a 155 comp, and then
right, that was a good cover.
And then I did another cover that is coming out soon. And so I'm actually doing.
By the way, 155 comp is
the 155 pod. Formerly Blink 155.
Oh, so I didn't know. So now it's called the 155 pod.
Yeah, it's just because they're not covering Blink, but yeah. So I did a Gob cover for that, and which was fun. I got to one of the ways I got into music was like video games, right? And NHL, I think 2002 had like the Ataris, it had Gob, it had Autopilot Off, it had
Autopilot Off, good band.
Probably like Alien Ant Farm or something. So it had this Gob song, and they podcast covered it, and I was like, okay, I got to do it, and it's free, so I took sound clips from NHL 02 and put it into the cover, and it was anyway, so yeah, and then I covered the coming up. You know what? I might have to bleep that out because it might be a surprise. But regardless, yeah. So
we can edit that out.
We got a few covers coming up this year, actually, and I don't like doing covers that much either. But they're kind of like one-off covers for me, so I think that's kind of fun. So yeah, right. I'm going to be doing a lot of that, and then hopefully LP too. Next year, it's basic. It's like I'd say 75%, 80% written now.
I mean, like I said, I posted something about this, basically saying I'm lucky that I got to piggyback off of you, Seth, and Dennis's hard work. Every time I think Dennis, I keep wanting to call him 10 foot. Just call him 10 foot.
10 foot pole guy, or just call him 10 foot pole.
That's his name to me. He's 10 foot pole. Yeah, I'm very lucky to be somebody who's piggybacked off you guys' hard work, because I wouldn't consider myself an acoustic musician at all. But
no, you've been around. You've been around the shows. You've played shows. You've done that stuff. SKiTTiSH had a couple acoustics.
I guess that's true, huh? Yeah. So, but either way, like, I'm somebody who very much didn't deserve to be on this, and it was cool to do it. And yeah, I mean, it's I'm stoked to be the one interviewing you as well.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, man.
I think you know my music the best. I think you know me the best. I think you know my music the best. So it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think we're mutual on that one.
Yeah, and you were there for when I wrote some of it, so you've recorded it all, and so thank you for you for wanting to interview me.
Of course, yeah. And I've kind of always wanted to ask you a little bit about a couple of these songs. That cool. Peaches one, I was like, oh, I gotta know. Is there something more? Is this right over home plate? I dig it. I respect that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know that the records come out March 22nd was the beginning was that the beginning of official pre-orders?
No, pre-orders have been up. Pre-orders have been up. That was
somebody announced that there was some sort of opening March 2nd.
No, it's always been up. So yeah, go
okay.
pre-order the record. It's up.
Yeah, go pre-order the record. AcousticSplit.com.
Yep. We got literally everything you could ever want. We got vinyl, we got CD, we got tape. Unless you want like a floppy disk or something, I don't know. Which bands have done, but not us. So go order it.
Please, support the labels who've put this out. People Punk Rock, Simpul Studios, or no, Simpul Records, right?
Yeah, Simpul Records. Yeah.
Simpul Records, and of course, the one only Rob of Hidden Home Records, who's supported a lot of bands who've deserved it, but haven't gotten the right attention. You're a master curator of the subgenres that you collect. Almost every band that makes it to your label is a band that's doing something interesting and unique and fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, heck, a couple of my favorite bands. One of my favorite bands is on your label, and a couple bands that I find myself addicted to from time to time are on your label as well. I guess I might as well plug them. Like Wicked Bears is one of my favorite.
Sure.
They're just an amazing band.
Yeah.
And I'm bummed that Pop Warner's not around anymore. Are they still around? Or are they no?
I don't know. They're like no, but they're still doing stuff. Brainflakes we did the Brainflakes EP and it was really, really good. And that's Brendan from Pop Warner.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Yeah, that Brainflakes EP was awesome.
Yeah, I think
that Pop Warner record's fantastic.
Yeah,
I really liked the Destroy Nate Allen stuff that you've done with him.
Yeah, it's a fun record. That was one of my favorites before I ever had a label. That was a re-release, and that was
okay.
That was a big.
And then, of course, you got to play with the big boys, doing some audio karate work.
Yeah,
which was really cool.
Deal. Yeah,
and so I mean, supporting Rob by buying the tapes goes a long way toward his label. And of course, Simpul Records, go get the CDs, and People Punk Rock, go get the vinyls.
If you're into vinyl,
the vinyls. I like to add an S.
Yeah, and I think it's good to add an S to vinyls.
Yeah. That way, every hipster out there is like, it's called vinyl.
It's fun. It's fun to annoy those people. I do think that ordering from People Punk Rock and getting that vinyl, that's the big one. So if you're into vinyl, go get the vinyl. That's all I'm gonna say.
Full disclosure, I bought one.
There you go.
I'm not sure I needed to.
No, yeah, I'm gonna buy two for myself. I've already decided. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. So
yeah, I mean, I just bought. I'm like, I don't care if they're giving me one. I want to support this thing, and so I bought one myself. So if I end up with two, I'll gift one. But
oh yeah.
But
in general, go support your friend's art.
Absolutely.
If you're an artist, especially go support your friend's art, because this doesn't work without mutual appreciation for each other. So
very true. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man.
Just to be with you is having the best day of my